Aesthetics. What does it mean exactly? Well, it's defined as a set of principles concerned with the nature and appreciation of beauty, especially in art. On the internet, though, aesthetics are concerned with the overall style of someone or something, like a musical sound, interior design, or even a social media presence. In my first video on this channel, I talked about core aesthetics found on the internet, which are unique aesthetics that are centered around specific themes, items, or eras. The core suffix is put at the end of a word to enlighten the defining feature of said aesthetic. I went over most of the more well-known ones in that video, but there are so many other ones that I didn't talk about that I decided I wanted to make a continuation of that video, going over even more of these aesthetics. The first two aesthetics in this video aren't actually core aesthetics because they don't use the core suffix, but I felt they still fit in with the others, and I just wanted to talk about them. So just like before, I will be going over images and other visuals used in the aesthetic, along with music artists and songs used in the aesthetics as well. With that being said, welcome back to the fascinating world of internet core aesthetics. Now I'm bringing up the Y2K aesthetic at the beginning of this video, not only because I've mentioned it before without actually explaining what it is, but also because I'll bring it up again later in this video. Y2K is less of its own aesthetic and more of an all-encompassing title for many subgenres of aesthetics, fashion styles, and art. The name Y2K itself refers to the year 2000 problem. This was the belief that computer systems would all go down due to many programs representing 4-digit years with only the final 2 digits, making the year 2000 indistinguishable from 1900. People thought that computer systems' inability to distinguish dates correctly had the potential of bringing down worldwide infrastructures for computer-reliant industries, leading to mass hysteria and destruction. Luckily, this was not the case, and everything was fine on New Year's of 1999. Starting around 2020, however, Y2K started becoming a term used for referencing things usually from 2000 to 2004. This birthed many aesthetics that fall under Y2K that all pay homage to the rise of the internet. Examples of aesthetics that fall under Y2K are Y2K futurism, which of course uses futuristic graphic designs and CGI. There are many surreal art pieces with multiple weird blob-shaped items with chrome as the main color. People have coined the term for the certain chrome pieces as Clowncore. Chromcore uses less surreal images and more metallic objects and products in them. These include CDs, DVDs, computers, toys, and phones. For some reason, most new technology around 2000 decided to go with this sleek, chromatic gray texture, most likely to look professional or futuristic. Another Y2K aesthetic is McBling, which is an aesthetic that uses blingy and feminine imagery, usually using pinks, blacks, and whites. You'll see the use of Playboy and other brands in these images. There were many popular music artists on the rise around 2000 to 2010. Some artists you'll see in Y2K playlists are Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Gwen Stefani, and Britney Spears. Aesthetics I talked about in my previous video, such as webcore and vaporwave, fall under Y2K, and this next aesthetic I'm going to talk about also falls under Y2K. The term Frutiger Aero was coined in 2017 by Sophie Lee and is named after the Swiss typeface designer Adrian Frutiger and the Windows Aero visual style popularized by Microsoft Visa's operating system, which heavily utilized the Frutiger typeface and a clean, futuristic aesthetic. It describes a design trend that incorporates elements like smooth gradients, rounded corners, and the Frutiger font, giving a somewhat optimistic and polished look. Similar to how aesthetics fall under Y2K, some other aesthetics can fall under Frutiger Aero. Visually, Frutiger Aero contains glossy textures, cloudy skies, tropical fish, water, bubbles, computers, and bright, vibrant colors. All of these combined create a dreamy, surreal blend of seemingly fake internet nostalgia. It uses old backgrounds from the Microsoft Windows XP era, such as the Bliss background. Some Frutiger Aero images use predominantly green as the color, and these usually fall in the subgenre of Frutiger Eco. It uses similar visuals while focusing on the themes of nature and technology working together in harmony to make the world a better place. These images portray a utopian, eco-friendly, and advanced future that people hoped for as technology kept advancing. Frutiger Aqua is another sub-aesthetic of Frutiger Aero that uses tropical imagery such as fish, oceans, and aquariums mixed with other Frutiger Aero visuals. Most of these images are harking back to when products would use the fish and ocean visuals like found in these mouses, soaps, toys, and these lamps too. Some technology relating to the aesthetic are of course old computers along with old Samsung and iPhone phones. Some other random electronics you'll see in the aesthetics include speakers, tablets, televisions, keyboard mouses, Wii's, DS's, UB Funkies, iPods, and iDogs. Music is an essential part of Frutiger Aero to help build a relaxing atmosphere with simple songs to match the simple technology of the time. The use of airy pads, gentle synths, soft new age vocals, and electro IDM palettes was seen in the mid-thousands wave of downtempo as more producers moved from hardware to purely digital software production, giving it a cleaner and brighter digital sound. It uses songs and sounds from different media that are used in multiple different aesthetics. These include songs from the Nintendo Wii and DS consoles, such as the menu themes of both consoles and Mii Maker theme from the Wii U. This also includes songs from games such as Mario Kart and Pikmin. Besides Nintendo, some other music artists that make this kind of music are AX14, Prism Corp, and Exploshi. Frutiger Aero has become very popular in recent years as the nostalgia for the 2000s continue to grow. Frutiger Aero videos have been trending on apps like TikTok to the point where the official Windows TikTok account directly addressed the aesthetic. I think it's really fun that people have created the idea of the 2000s as a dreamy, calm era with fun technology and ideas. I'll keep the pleasant vibes alive as I move on to the next and first core aesthetic of this video, which is Tropicalcore is a subgenre of the coconut girl aesthetic, which is centered around creating coquette beach girl vibes. I prefer Tropicalcore itself though because of how the images and music are almost a little too happy and too bright, to the point where things seem fake. It's comforting but a little strange if you linger on it for too long, and I like that. These aesthetics stem from the early 2000s girly summer tourist culture, as it's associated with rural Florida beaches and tropical Hawaiian beaches. Visually, Tropicalcore images are littered with glitter and hibiscus flowers. The ocean is usually the main focus of the images, and so you'll see items relating to it, such as dolphins, rainbows, shells, coconuts, palm trees, and more. The colors are all very bright to go along with the happy-go-lucky vibes. To brighten the images up even more, people also use solar flares and glints. You'll also see fictional characters from different media such as Sanrio characters and cartoon characters, most likely as a reference to what a tween girl might be watching during downtime on a fun vacation like this. The aesthetic and the fashion surrounding it is somewhat inspired by the Japanese subculture that is Gyaru, more specifically Manba Garu, which is a substyle of Gangaru Garu, which in itself is a broad substyle of Garu. Yes, the Garu subculture runs deep, which is why I'm not going to dive into it here. But in Manba Gairu fashion, you'll see things like flower leis and other Hawaiian accessories along with other heavy decor like stickers and glitter. You'll also see bright and vibrant colors in this fashion, all things you see in Tropicalcore images and fashion. Some music you'll hear in Tropicalcore, similar to Frutiger Aero, includes music from multiple Nintendo games such as Mario Kart and Mario Sunshine, along with music from the Sonic games. But instead of the calm and simple tracks used in Frutiger Aero, the songs are usually taken from beach or water levels from these games, which all have tropical sounds. These songs include Gelato Beach from Super Mario Sunshine, Palm Tree Panic P-Mix from Sonic CD, and GCN Peach Beach from Mario Kart Wii. Besides these sounds, some artists that make upbeat tropical music are the Beach Boys, Kuwata, and Jimmy Buffett. Rest in peace. This core aesthetic is supposed to be relaxing and carefree, just like a 2000s summer day where you might be hanging out on the beach with all your friends. The next core aesthetic I'll talk about is just as fun as Tropicalcore, but in a completely different way. Clowncore is all about clowns, obviously. It uses motifs from locations like carnivals and circuses. It often has the vibe of childlike wonder and innocent fun, similar to another core called Kidcore, although that aesthetic is more focused on the nostalgia and happiness of being a kid. On the other hand, some people delve into the horror side that is already associated with clowns, and some people take it in a different direction. Since circuses and clowns have been around for so long, people that like the aesthetic can use the favorite time period of the subject to create things in the aesthetic. There are many different types of clowns found in the aesthetic, such as jesters, mimes, pirouettes, burlesques, carrying clowns, and rodeo clowns. Although I believe the majority of the colorful and over-the-top clowns in the aesthetic are based off the basic circus clowns along with the august clowns. Visually, clowncore images are usually very full and cluttered with overbearing bright colors. On Pinterest, you'll find many collages showing off parts of the aesthetic that people find most enticing. Images include party items like balloons, toys, and confetti, along with party food like gumballs, ice cream, and birthday cake. Some people prefer the visuals of vintage circuses and carnivals, and these usually go for a more dingy look. This is a different aesthetic called fanfare, but it still relates to clowncore. Fanfare uses old carnival props, signs, rides, caravans, and funhouses. In other clowncore images, you'll find patterns used in arcades or at places like Chuck E. Cheese's during a birthday party. The most disturbing scene in the amazing movie that is I Saw the TV Glow creates unease by using all these birthday party visuals and motifs while the main character is going through it. I love this movie set so much. It's so simple, but that makes it even more liminal and eerie. It's exactly what I remember as a kid going to birthday parties at a place like this. Along with going to birthday parties like this as a child, I also remember going to the circus as a kid and having quite a good time. I've always been fond of circuses and clowns, besides the use of animals for shows, but I'm glad to have learned that the circus I went to has converted to an all-human roster. People can be their true selves at circuses and can show off some genuinely impressive tricks others might consider weird or useless. As a person who's a fan of pretty much anything that breaks away from the standard norm of life, it's no wonder I love the amusement of seeing these absurd spectacles in circus shows. Some famous clown characters from media that have been talked about in the aesthetic are Pennywise from It, Ronald McDonald from McDonald's, JoJo from JoJo's Circus, and Pomni from The Amazing Digital Circus. The rise of this show since last year has brought many to the clowncore aesthetic with its perfectly wacky interpretation of a digital circus. Music has always been an important part of circus acts, and that is true with the aesthetic as well. Even though there aren't really any artists who strictly make clowncore music, there are many songs by various artists that have to do with clowns or circuses. Some songs you'll hear in clowncore and fanfare playlists include Entrance of the Gladiators, which is the iconic circus theme, Dancing Around in Circles Until My Little Feet Fall Off, and Muggs is Dead. Many video game OSTs have circus-themed songs as well, such as Coin Op Bop from Cuphead, The World Revolving from Deltarune, and the daycare theme from FNAF Security Breach. Some artists that have multiple songs that fit into the aesthetic are Oliver Buckland, Maisie, and The Scary Jokes. The soundtrack to The Amazing Digital Circus is a good addition to the aesthetic as well. I adore the silly antics of clowncore and all media relating to it. It's fun to imagine yourself as a clown, having fun and not having to worry about any problems. We'll move on from the lightheartedness of this aesthetic though, and lean into the horror side of things as we move on to the next aesthetic. Meatcore Meatcore is a niche aesthetic based on raw meat, organs, flesh, blood, and body horror. It might seem strange at first, but people take these things and, similar to Weirdcore, create very interesting, disturbing, and meaningful art with them. Meatcore isn't about liking meat itself. Like, just because someone enjoys this art, that doesn't mean that they enjoy eating meat. It may just be a way to express horror in ways that people find interesting. People may find it comforting because it faces them with the reality that we're all just flesh and blood. No matter what you look like, how ugly or pretty you think you are, underneath we are all just piles of meat. Visually, the main color you'll see is, of course, intense shades of red, but also black, white, and pinks. You'll see packaged meat and organs like intestines and lungs. Some people create creatures using these things, or just mutilated beings. A lot of the meat in these images are also pixelated, like a video game item. Also similar to Weirdcore, people use cute and wholesome properties and mix them with these gruesome images. For example, people commonly use hearts in these images, sometimes the meat itself being heart-shaped. Meatcore is strangely pretty common to see in indie horror games. Both games by the developer studio Wrong Organ uses common meatcore imagery like gore, organs, and mutilation. In How Fish is Made, you play as a fish making your way through an eerie limbo dungeon with machine rooms, metal corridors, and meat tunnels. There's even a darkly humorous song around the midway point that is sung by a parasite that is literally eating another fish from the inside. This sequence uses multiple disturbing meat images and other visuals. The other game, Mouthwashing, has become very popular since release, and although it's very different from How Fish is Made, it still uses meat a lot, and even cannibalism at times. The most notable moment, I think, being when the player is forced to make a character in the game eat his own chopped off leg. Both of these games are amazing, by the way, and you should definitely go play them yourselves if you can. Other games that use this similar polygonal, disturbing meat imagery are Meat, Meat Line, and Meat Madness. For being such a niche aesthetic, there is surprisingly a lot of meatcore music playlists found on YouTube. I assume it's due to music being more accepted for expressing yourself than other forms, so there are just a lot of songs that use themes of gore, cannibalism, and meat. Sodakin has multiple great songs using traits of cannibalism such as People Eater and Misery Meat. Some other songs I like that relate to the aesthetic are Body Terrorist Song, Blow My Brains Out, Murders, Body, and Eat Them. I appreciate the gross but comforting absurdist nature of this aesthetic, and I enjoy all the unique songs and art that come from it. I've always enjoyed the creepy and unusual things in life, which continues into the next aesthetic I'll be talking about. Cryptids are animals or creatures that some believe exist somewhere in the wild, but whose present existence is disputed or unsubstantiated by science. Basically, beings who have claimed to exist, but never proven to exist. There are hundreds of cryptids that can be found all around the world, but some of the most well-known cryptids are Bigfoot/Sasquatch, the Yeti, the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, the Mothman, and so many more. Cryptozoology is the study and search of these creatures. Cryptidcore itself, though, takes these legends and folklore and romanticizes the adventure and mystery that comes along with it. Cryptidcore is for people who love seeing strange, fantastical, and unexplained things. They want to solve mysteries beyond themselves, whether it be with friends or doing it alone. Visually, many Cryptidcore photos are located in the place where most cryptids are believed to live: forests. You'll see dark or foggy forests. Many of them use pine trees found in places like Oregon and Washington. There are many signs in these images, sometimes warning you and sometimes just giving you information. People also add in cryptids and aliens to these spooky images, similar to that original iconic image of Bigfoot. You'll also see images and objects that are inspired by mystery and sci-fi TV shows, such as Gravity Falls, Twin Peaks, and The X-Files. This makes sense because both the Mystery Shack from Gravity Falls and Cryptidcore is inspired by the real-life, kitschy tourist trap culture of America that capitalizes on the people who have a fascination with these cryptids. Other objects you'll see in these images are things monster or ghost hunters might have on them while out in the field. These include Polaroid cameras, Ouija boards, tinfoil hats, pocket knives, journals, flashlights, and radios. As I got older and learned more about cryptids, one in particular stuck out to me, which is the Mothman. I'm not sure what exactly enticed me so much about this creature. Maybe his design, or maybe the sleepy town in which he was first spotted in. Either way, my love for this guy was so strong that last year when I went on my cross-country road trip, I decided to go out of my way to drive over to West Virginia and visit the small town of Point Pleasant where he originates from. Like I mentioned earlier about the tourist trap culture, the town has leaned into the legend of the Mothman, even building a statue of him in the middle of the town. I even visited the Mothman Museum while I was there. The whole experience was kind of a dream come true to a Cryptidcore fan like me. Because of the forest and small town imagery, indie/folk music has been used in this aesthetic. Some of these indie artists include Cavetown, Alt J, and AJJ. On the more mysterious and adventurous side of things, there are artists like They Might Be Giants, Lemon Demon, and Mother Mother. Cryptidcore is a whimsical and mysterious aesthetic, and it shares traits that I think all of the other core aesthetics I've talked about have, and that trait is that they are fun. Now, Cryptidcore is the last main aesthetic I'll talk about in this video, but there's sort of a bonus core aesthetic that I want to mention at the end here, as I've been seeing it on media apps like Instagram and YouTube, and this core aesthetic is called Corecore. The reason I said Corecore is being mentioned as a bonus aesthetic is because it's less straightforward and harder to talk about than all the other ones. Just from hearing the name, you might be wondering if this is serious, as the name sounds like the antithesis of the genre itself. While some people have used this aesthetic format to make memes to reject the concept of core aesthetics themselves, the majority do try to create meaningful messages using various media for this aesthetic. Corecore is meant to evoke strong emotions using seemingly unrelated clips from a variety of media such as news footage, social media, films, TV shows, memes, and music. Pieces in the aesthetic can attempt to go over several different themes, whether it be discussing the disconnectedness that most feel in the world recently, or the state of the world in general. Most Corecore media is created and consumed by Generation Z, as the youth is more concerned now with things like capitalism, depression, social status, fear of climate change, and relationships. Some Corecore videos take clips of people talking about these topics and putting somber music in the background. These aim to show the mental state of the youth and all of the problems we have right now. On the other side of the coin, you have Hopecore, which at first seems very similar to Corecore, as it consists mainly of video clips using multiple media sources to evoke emotions while putting fitting music over it. It differs because of the topics being talked about though. While Corecore shows the reality of Gen Z struggling to find their place in the world while dealing with things like loneliness and depression, Hopecore on the other hand shows quite the opposite. Hopecore tries to show you the good that you can find in life, no matter what your situation is. It focuses on the human condition and the special everyday interactions with nature, other humans, and even inanimate objects. These videos use the same media as Corecore, but use the hopeful part of them. They show great human achievements, motivational quotes, and just the little moments in life where humans make other humans smile. I'm very passionate about all the aesthetics I've talked about in this video and my previous one. In one way or another, I have a connection with all of them. This year has been rough for me, and I'm glad I have outlets like video making when things in my life might not be going the way I want them to, and I hope all of you have things to do that take your mind off things as well. In the modern age of the internet, it's hard not to focus on all the negative things you see every day. As much as I love the internet, it can cause many problems for a person. Sometimes you'll doom scroll for hours at a time and wonder to yourself, what am I doing with my life? But it's okay. Know that it's okay to have off days, and know it's okay to give yourself a break. Maybe go on a walk, or call your friend, watch your favorite movie, or maybe just look at the moon for a little bit. Take a moment to reflect on your favorite parts of life, the parts that make you happy you're alive. Because they matter more than anything. You matter more than anything.